Okay, everybody, welcome to the Monday, May 9th regular City Council meeting. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, first we got to approve some additions to the agenda. We've got some additional bills, and we've got an additional application for fireworks display from the chamber. Those are it.
Could I also ask for one more too?
Sure.
During the city attorney report, closed session we need one more parcel for the right of way to finish 66. We should go into closed and talk about that.
Okay. Okay, those three items. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries, all in favor. Next, we have public forum. Action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda of the next regular council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Anybody have anything? Pat?
Pat Netco, 36084 County Road 66, Cross Lake. I just have a question about the signage and the access that's going to be starting next Monday. How is that going to work, and is the detour that is posted on the maps online, is that detour going to be marked for everybody? Because it says local access only right now for going straight ahead.
I don't think we're going to encourage truck traffic, you know.
Right. We've all been telling our drivers for our various deliveries how this is going to go, but we're all just curious, how is that going to be marked, and is that going to be done by the end of the week?
I believe the local traffic signs going through Log Landing will be pretty clearly marked. And I believe Phil said that they're going to put some business signs on it, who to go get to.
But it's not just the local traffic, it's access to the northern end and the northern end access to the southern end.
Yeah,
is
but I
what
think
we're concerned about.
he's going to put signage in there for businesses, is that correct? On both edges, so if you're going to Crafts and Cones, go this way.
Well,
Yeah.
all the other businesses as
Yeah,
well.
no, I mean, we're going to try to do it. We're going to try to encourage, you know, some people to go around, but the local people and the local traffic can get through. Now, when we get to the top half, we're not sure how it's going to go. We'll have to see how wide it is and whatever, but
But the detour will be marked clearly.
clearly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think through the route too, Phil, right? I mean, there'll be arrows and detour and all the way through.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Anybody else have anything? Okay, we'll close public forum. Next is the consent calendar. All items listed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be acted on one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless a citizen or a council member so requests. Has everybody looked at it? No questions? Motion?
Move to approve the consent.
I'll second that.
Approve the consent calendar.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor. Critical issues. Mary Reedy from Clifton Allen is going to do a financial report for us.
Yeah, Mary is our auditor from Clifton Larson Allen.
Yep.
Mary and her team are out here doing their field work in March. And while she gets hooked up, she's going to give you a brief presentation on the materials I handed out on the pictures. There's about an 80 or so page audit report. If you want to read that, feel free to do so.
This is what you're going to use, though.
But she's going to go
Yes, sir.
through some slides and some pictures, and she'll be able to answer your questions.
All right.
It's good nighttime reading if you'd like to
Yeah,
put it by
thanks.
your bedstand, fall asleep. No, so I prepared the PowerPoint. Everything from the PowerPoint does come from the financials, so you definitely could compare those. Just a little bit easier reading, kind of understanding where the city ended up, and then going back a few years as comparison as well. Feel free to stop me at any time. If you have any questions, definitely can be interactive. I don't mind at all. But yes, we'll go through the PowerPoint. You have your audit report and then a couple other side letters, so my presentation doesn't have to be so long.
Kate?
Okay, so a quick agenda, just go over briefly the audit findings, financial results, and then key issue summary items that came from the audit. City's audit report, so overall an unmodified opinion on the basic financial statements, so clean, highest level of assurance that us as auditors can give. One material weakness, we've talked about this in the past, segregation of duties, just not quite enough office staff to break that up. You do have mitigating controls though, so that's what we rely on as auditors. Minnesota legal compliance, we do test about 7 areas there and no findings, so overall good. So a brief overview of the entity-wide revenues. So these are all your funds combined. When you look at the graph, you'll notice property taxes looks like it increased quite a bit. But when you look, your capital grants and contributions did decrease. You got a lot of road funding in the prior years, and that's the bucket that they came through. So you'll see that the pie just shifted back to where it was. The next page, expenses here, so includes depreciation expense. When you look at this, you're fairly comparable year over year, kind of spending the money in the same areas. So then you ask, okay, well, where did that intergovernmental revenue go that was supposed to pay for the roads? That's capitalized. So that's not in these because they're put into capital assets. But the depreciation on those is included in these expenses here. So the next one is your general fund. So just a 5-year trend here. You can kind of see the fluctuation but over each year. Your net other financing sources this year did increase. So you did issue bonds related to the truck that was purchased. Okay, and then your expenditures decreased. 5.4 million was spent last year on capital outlay, and this year was about 2.7. So still high on capital outlay, but did come down from last year. General fund, again, just a different graph here, kind of shows you a little bit comparison. Your orange line there is going to be your bonds coming in. Okay. So the next page is your general fund revenues in comparison, current year to prior year with your pie chart here. Again, property tax is your biggest piece of that pie coming in. Intergovernmental, you can see shifted 15% last year, 5% this year. And then special assessments, you had some prepayments there. So that was why it was a little bit higher than last year as well. Next page just shows you over the years. You can see property taxes do increase over the years. This year, 2021, charges for services went up. If you look in there, you had a large park dedication fee come in compared to prior years. Okay. Next page are the expenditures. So where does that money go out for the general fund? You can see capital outlay still significant here. Would expect that to go down. And then the chart just reformulates once that drops. So if you go to the next page, actually shows you comparisons of what happened current year to prior year. And if you look, all of them remain fairly consistent year over year. The pie chart just gets skewed with the high increase in your capital outlay. Okay. So then we get into the sewer fund here. That is your only business type entity. Again, you can see pretty consistent operations here. You did have overall a net income from the current year. And then remember, property taxes are coming in here to help pay for depreciation. Go to the next page here. Net income did decrease from last year, but it was still positive. And then you can see all 3 of those other lines hovering pretty comparable to prior year and all pretty consistent with each other. Okay. So the general fund, we just like to show you expenditures by department. So this is your general government. If you were to look at this last year, miscellaneous was up quite a bit. That's where your COVID funds were spent. So you'll see that shift this year. Public safety expenditures by department, exactly the same as prior year, kind of operating similar. Next one is Public Works. Again, 98% with maintenance, and then the 2% engineering, same as prior year. And then your Culture and Rec, we put in your library and recreation separate there. You can see library at 7 and then recreation at your 93%. So a few other financial highlights. A state reporting form is required to be submitted along with the audited financial statements. Mike has that ready to go. As soon as you approve the audit, he'll be able to submit that and meet the deadline well ahead of the June 30th. General fund had a positive change in fund balance, talked about that, the issuance of bonds there to help pay for the truck. And then the sewer fund had a positive change in net position, about 50,000 there. Okay. So capital outlay, talked about being a little bit higher. So you had the wrap up of the fire hall, the fire truck was purchased, and then your Perkins Road there. Debt service fund increased about 78,000, so it is collecting enough taxes to pay your principal and interest each year. You levy 105% to make those principal and interest payments. You did put 11,000 of bond proceeds in there to help pay for those interest costs, that first bond payment. Your total debt right now, if you didn't issue anything else, would be paid off in 2035. Your total outstanding debt is about 5.5 million, and then your fund balance in debt service is about 507,000 right now. Financial stability, general fund, about 370,000 over budget in revenues. Your intergovernmental and charges for services came in over this year. And then 92,000 under budget in expenditures. And capital outlay was your only category that actually went over in the budget. So you budgeted for loss about 674,000. You came in at a positive 1,500, so pretty break even there. You have 142,000 sitting in your state and local fiscal recovery funds. So sorry for the acronym. It's a little bit easier to fit in there. In unearned revenue. So you receive that money in July. You didn't spend it by the end of the year. We put it into unearned revenues. When you spend it, it'll go down. But again, when you get your payment in July, if you haven't spent all of that, you'll again see next year that you'll have some more of that as unearned. Cash on hand right now in your general fund, about 7.9 million, and then current year expenditures about 5.7 million there. So right now you have an assigned fund balance in general fund of about 1 million for capital outlay. And then we talked about debt service remaining stable to meet those principal and interest payments. Next page goes to the sewer fund. So you did have negative cash flow from operating activities, about 2,900 there. You do have restricted cash, about 500,000, so that's restricted for debt service payments. You had operating expenses, about 629,000, and your operating revenues about 324,000. So your operating revenues don't include property taxes. We've talked about that in the past, and so those are used as other financing to help cover the operating expenses there. And depreciation expense about 314,000. So overall, sewer fund decreased cash by about 7,000. You purchased 71,000 of capital assets. 290,000 of that was principal payments, and then the debt will be paid off in 2028 for the sewer fund. Okay, so make sure you're monitoring those rates each year for the sewer fund, adjusting as necessary. So just a quick overview of the information that you're getting month to month is accurate. We don't come in and make a bunch of entries at the end of the year, so pretty reliable as you go through the year.
Okay, Mary, thank you. Anybody got any questions for her?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I notice on the balance sheet that other post-employment benefits are at $487,355. What's included in that?
Those-
Compensated absences? and-
No.
No?
So those are just the health care and the difference of, I don't know how to say it, like the older generation on the healthcare versus the newer generation on the healthcare. If you were heavily new, you'd pay lower premium rates, but since you have combined, they take that into account and assess a liability for those payments that will be coming up in the future. It's confused.
So it's not post-employment, it's not employment, it's not
It's
health insurance
retiree
after
related.
retirement or
Correct.
anything?
Yes, it's retirement related, correct.
So we have a liability of $487,355?
Yes, but you're paying on that each year, and then it gets reassessed every 2 years. So there's potential that could go down, but as you keep adding new people, it pretty much is going to stay the same. But at any cutoff time, no, that's not a true liability.
Okay,
It's from an actuary, so it's an actuarial study
okay.
done.
So every 2 years, it gets adjusted?
Correct.
And so compensated absences are in a different,
Yes, it's in your other long-term debt. So if you go to page, if you have your.
page 14?
Yep, but in your, so on page 41
Oh.
of that, of that book, it'll show you what the total comp abs balance is, but it's combined with your other long-term debt on that page that you were on. So
Okay.
you weren't able to see the detail of that. But yep, if you go to page 41, the top graph there,
Okay.
about 3/4 of the way down.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yep.
Anything else?
I think we need to move to accept the report. Am I correct? I so move that we accept the report that was just presented to us.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries all in favor. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay, next we go to D2, a letter from Ox Lake Landing Homeowners Association for some no parking signs. Eric, do you know anything about this? You gonna come up?
Gordy is here.
Okay.
My name is Gordy Reller. I'm on the Ox Lake Landing Board, and at the very end of Ox Lake Landing Road, it's a cul-de-sac or a narrow turnaround. We've been having trouble with people parking there. We just have the signs up from the association, which are wood, say no parking. People are not paying attention to it, so we're requesting that the city signs be put up as I described the area in that letter, just so they'd be legal signs, I guess.
And that is a city road?
It is city-maintained
City-
road, correct?
City-maintained road.
Yes.
So if we put signs up, do you have to patrol it?
Well, we do. My question to you, isn't that a private access for Ox Lake Landing Association?
At the end of the road, yes, it's a private
Okay.
access, but the
So
road,
it's your people in Ox Lake Landing that are parking there?
correct.
Okay.
For the most part, yes.
I don't have a problem with patrolling it or enforcing that, but, I mean, it seems like there should be a little bit of enforcement with the association, so.
Right.
We have talked to them, but the reason people are not complying is they think it's a private, a wooden sign that says no parking, and they don't pay attention to it for whatever reason.
I guess my concern is that it is a city road and we do maintain it. And we have in the past put no parking signs up for that kind of stuff, so. I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts?
The only controversy is going to be internal, so it doesn't bother me if they go up. I mean, honestly, you're the one that's going to catch heat, not
Oh,
us.
yeah. Believe it or not, we can talk to people and they don't listen.
I hear that.
So if somebody parks there, you're gonna call up the police to go out there and ticket them
We
or
will,
something?
I certainly talk to them first, but as a last resort, if it's, if they're in the cul-de-sac or turnaround, if people can't turn around and they refuse to move, then yes, we would probably call the police.
Gotta love your neighbors, huh?
That's right.
Well,
Gordy, has this been discussed at public safety at all? Any of our internal commissions here for
No,
Cross Lake? Okay,
not that I'm
thanks.
aware of, no.
Eric?
The only comment I have is if the signs go up, we enforce. So, I mean,
I understand. So
it's just what
whoever
it
parks
is.
there is liable. If they happen to drive up that road, they'll issue tickets.
Right,
It won't be a request, and they'll just issue them.
right.
When's the last time you went up that road, Eric? All right, let's have a motion on it. Does anybody?
I move to install the signs.
Second? I'll second it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor. Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we have an application for fireworks on Big Pine Lake. Oh, him again. Do we have a representative from Big Pine Lake here?
Guess who comes up?
Imagine that, imagine that. Jackson Purfirst, 14610 Big Pine Trail. After last year, we had a lot of positive, people were very excited about it. And so this year we decided to do it again. And now we're up to, so far, 35 people have donated towards this year, so it is in favor. The association is also in favor as well. So I just want to do it right this year again and get the permit.
Eric, did you get any calls on it last year or anything?
Yeah, I'm sure, I'm sure. Hopefully it was a good thing, though. Thank you, thank you.
I actually went down and watched them, and it
As
was
I
a
say,
good
you were
thing.
there,
Yeah,
you were there.
It was a good thing.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fireworks display permit for Big Lake, or Big Pine
It's all
Lake.
good, it's all good, it works.
Big Pine Lake.
As long as you approve it, that's all that matters.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Next, we got another one for the chamber, I think. Cindy, you gonna come up?
Good evening, Cindy Mugato with the Cross Lake Chamber of Commerce. The 52nd Annual Fireworks Show is planned for Saturday, July the 2nd. I believe, Jackson, your show is Friday night?
Yep.
The first, so this show is on the 2nd, over Cross Lake, off of Sand Island. Thank you for your contribution to that show. You have donated out of your city budget for that show, and then we will do fundraising to fund the rest of the show and the advertising and the toilets. We'll ask that you close the Robert Street Landing for the pyrotechnics to use the day of the show, setting up the display. And then we have CNC Boatworks, who tows the barges out to Sand Island, and then they blast the show off from there, and then the barges come back to Robert Street Landing that night, and they pack up and leave, and then we'll clean the island Sunday morning, Sunday morning.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that, Cindy.
Thank you.
We have a motion on that one.
I move to accept this for fireworks for July 2nd, I think it
Yes,
was.
Saturday night.
All right. In a second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, on the mayor and council members' report, we have a resolution accepting donations. $40 donation from an anonymous donor for the Park and Rec, and Namie Berg, I hope I pronounced that right. $50 for the Park and Rec. So thank you for your donations. Do we have a motion to accept it?
Will we accept the donations?
I second.
No,
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Now, next we have an approval of an ordinance amendment relating to the salaries of mayor and city council members. An approval of publication in newspaper. So did any of you guys get out in the public and ask if it's all right if we give ourselves a raise?
I was still thinking we should have a limit on the number of times you get paid, because that was the case back when I first started on the council, so. And I believe it was
4.
4,
It was 4.
just my recommendation.
Okay, and I will disagree with you, Dave. And only because the council is really dedicated to this up here, and it's $30 a meeting. Meetings can last 5 hours. It's not a big financial implication. But it is a little token of award for coming and sitting in these meetings. It doesn't amount to much money. I'd like to be able to take the money at the end of the year and go fishing or something for a couple days. So,
The current salaries that the mayor and the council members get was supposed to have included 4 meetings already.
was that per the previous mayor?
For us.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
it was changed 4 years ago, almost.
Well, I think most cities pay a special meeting stipend to their consuls, and we seem to be hit a lot with special meetings. Like tomorrow, it'll probably be from, what time does it start?
9.
Last time it was 9:30 to 4 o'clock. No breaks, nothing. I mean, we've been having a lot of special meetings, and I don't think it's out of line to pay for a special meeting. Most cities do that.
And I guess just for the public out here to know, the council people get $430 a month for doing this, and the mayor gets $530 a month, so I think you guys have a little indication of how much time we put into it for that, so.
I also think that the effective date should be November 9th, day after the election.
So does anyone want to know how we got to such an odd number? Prior to 2019, we had a similar situation. We had a lot of special meetings. At that time, it was $350 and $450 for council and mayor respectively. And special meetings were $20 a meeting. And so what the council decided to do back then was say, we don't want to have to keep track of every special meeting we go to, but we go to about 4 on average a month. And so they said, well, we'll just raise it $80, and that's how we got to that number. You can go higher if you want to, but that's how we got to that, because they did want to have some type of limit on it. So they were $350 and $450, and the council at that time said, we're attending a commission meeting or a special meeting or whatever, and so they just changed the monthly stipend to what it is today.
And keeping track is not a problem because the city clerk keeps track of the roll call. So it's really
wasn't-
not a big thing.
It wasn't the city clerk having a problem keeping track, it was the council remembering that they went to.
But I think
there was
they had to, didn't they have to submit a timesheet or something like that?
They had to sign a timesheet. They
Yeah.
had to sign it.
So
Yes.
if it's a record of the minutes and it's only special meetings, it's not commission meetings, it's not anything else, it shouldn't be a big thing.
Make a motion, Marcia.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this ordinance and have the date changed to November 9th, 2022.
Okay, do we have a second on it?
Yes, second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 3-2. Okay, Mike, I think it's up to you now.
All right, item F1, we have a request for a variance for a headstone. There's a whole bunch of pictures in here, I'm not going to go through each one of them, but they're asking to put a headstone that is a little taller than what our rules allow in the cemetery. In this case, the person's asking before the stone's installed. We do have a number of them out there that they just went and put them in over the years, so we do have some that are not the size that matches what our rules are. Is that correct, Shar?
Why is it that we have a restriction on how people want to memorialize their loved one, Is
Well,
there?
we don't have a restriction on how they memorialize them. We do have a restriction on what size stone will fit in the spot that they're trying to place it. We try to have them mounted in a certain fashion that they don't block the stone next to them, in front or behind or to the side. and that they're placed with an appropriate border so they're not damaged when the city does maintenance on the cemetery.
So if somebody bought a whole plot for their family, 8 lots, or how many are in a plot? Are there,
It varies.
okay, so if they bought 6, and they wanted one big stone recognizing the family and then little ones, would that be allowed? With exception?
What if there's ones behind it? That has happened. That did just happen last year. And there are other people behind
So it
those
blocks them off,
8.
and so there needs to be
And
some
they
organization.
called and complained, but the one that was put there is like a foot taller than what we allow. They did not ask for a variance. It just showed up one day, there it was, 12 inches too high. And the people in back of him complained, they're like, we can't even see our headstones anymore. So, and that was a family one with just the name on it.
Does the road go by each row of headstones? I mean, do the roads that go through there, there's some tiers? Some tiers in it. I hate the thought of restricting people on the monument they want to place, but
Well, they were good enough to come in and ask.
Yeah.
Right.
The
And
4
4
inches
inches
isn't a
and-
big thing to me. I think it looks pretty nice.
I can't read the dimensions. How much bigger is this?
It's
4
4
inches.
inches too tall.
4 inches?
That's it.
Okay,
Not this way, that way.
yeah.
well, I think we should let them put it in for sure.
I'll make a motion to approve this request to allow a 4-inch height discrepancy from the, what, regulations? You have regulations for it, okay.
Second.
Second, Aaron? Any other discussion on it? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
All right, thank you. Item 2 is a resolution to adopt for renewal existing liquor license for establishments for 2022-23. There's both on and off sale, Sunday, tap room, club, and wine licenses, and they're all listed there on item F2.
I have one question on it, if I
Sure.
could. One of them is on sale, non-intox. I'm assuming that that means non-intoxicating beverage.
That is correct.
3.2, is that what it is?
It's
Okay, so you got to have a license.
with
Okay.
with
Okay.
a wine
That was
license.
my only question.
With a wine license, you can have beer,
Yeah.
strong beer. It's
Yeah.
not 3.2, it's strong beer,
Yeah,
if you have a wine license.
but this is basically the 3.2. Okay. I'm fine. I move to approve the liquor licenses as submitted.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
All right, item 3 is a resolution to acquire tax forfeited land. As you know, if there's land within the city that goes tax forfeit, the city has the first option to acquire it for the county's asking price. This particular piece is right in the middle on the 3rd page. These are double-sided, so if you go to where the map is there, it's parcel 142100712, and that's actually right next to the garage we're going to move. Is that correct, TJ? And the idea, they're asking, the county's asking $25,000 for it. It's down by the sewer plant. It's adjacent to property the city already owns. And do you want to talk about what your plans are for that?
We have yet to fully identify a project plan for this, but our thought is it's perfect green space for Cross Lake. That's what we always hear, it is to preserve the green space, and if we can acquire this land for future park purposes or future public works purposes, I think it would be advantageous for the city to look at purchasing this land. Yep.
And the purchase is $25,000 is what the price of it is?
Correct. It'll pop up on the screen here in a little bit here.
Peter, it appears to be a fairly small, narrow lot, let me put it that way.
Half-acre lot.
Yeah, it's
On the
about
river.
21,766 square feet,
Half acre then.
and it would be this one right here by my finger.
Right on the Pine River.
It's 100 by 200, right?
Correct.
This is near where you might set up a kayak or park area.
That was
also,
our
as I remember.
original idea. We have yet to really firm anything up. I know I discussed this with the Powell Foundation and with the park board. There are some positive attitudes towards something like a kayak launch or a picnicking area. So to preserve that area, as long as with maybe a tuning the tax forfeited land would be good for the city. And we could tap into park dedication fees for this.
I agree. I
25,000.
think that would be a nice asset.
Yeah, it's adjacent to the property, so I think we should do it.
Highlight what we already own on that property.
Yeah, we own, yeah, give me a color copy.
This is the view from the current parcel that we own, so it would just be on the this side here. But that's just kind of the view of the river and the lay of the land. It's beautiful down there, so. Just FYI.
So it could be a good city access to the river.
Yeah, and the city basically has this piece right here, this way. The plant is between here and going towards 66. So again, we're offered it first, and we can deny it if we don't want it, but then someone else will buy it, potentially.
What monies are you going to use to purchase it?
We could use park dedication. We have that available right now, or we could explore different areas of funding too, but I think park dedication would be a perfect use.
I make a motion, we buy it, get it.
Second it.
Any other discussion? All in
So
favor?
that's coming out of park dedication fees then? Okay.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I gotta stand.
Okay, item 4 under my report is the last resolution related to the current year projects. And we're asking to approve a reimbursement resolution for bonding up to the amount of around $800,000. We're looking at about $805,000 for the 2022 road projects that we talked about, touched a little bit earlier tonight. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to issue $800,000 worth of bonds. That means we can if we need to. And remember, we do have some funds set aside for road projects. And, we need to talk about the assessment issue on that one too. That all comes into play. So once we have the full picture, we'll come back to you. Jason Murray and Phil and myself will come back to the council with the financing plan to issue one bond so we can bifurcate the proceeds to our 3 projects. Remember, we have the 66 sewer project, we have the clarifier project, and the road projects coming up.
So we're going to combine all those.
That's correct.
We've already approved $550,000 for the clarifiers. Now you're asking for $800,000 for roads?
For the roads, yes.
And what is the sewer bond?
Well, we're up to 2.1, but because of recent changes, we've decided to issue a lower amount.
Why lower?
We're using some of our own cash. We're floating the county's portion. So that's why it's important to know all the different pieces to this so we can come back with the total package.
So if we have to float the county's costs for 2 years, right?
Roughly, yes.
So couldn't we bond for that amount and then on the bond schedule, come back in 2 years and have a big bump up in the payback? Because we'll get that?
That's correct. What else comes into play is the level of connection charges you ultimately decide to collect. Because remember, connection charges are designed to pay for repairs and improvements to the plant, to the physical facility.
Yeah. that would be the 550,000 for clarifiers, right?
That's correct.
Right.
So depending on what you ultimately decide to do with that, that'll drive that discussion on our level of bonding. But the important thing now is to get the resolution in place before we start writing checks to contractors. We have sufficient funds to cover our expenses on that until we can make that decision.
Well, I think we should make that decision in the next month or two, because then we're into budgeting and we're going to need to know what the debt service is.
That's correct. That's entirely up to this group up here.
So have we decided on our sewer bond issuance? What that amount is going to be? Or is that next month?
That'll be next month.
Okay, all right.
Okay, but at least this gets us covered, so should we need to bond for the full amount, we have the opportunity to do that. That doesn't mean that we will.
Well, I think there should be discussion before we do a bond issue on how much we want to do.
There's no argument with that.
Yeah.
We just need to know what that number is.
I'm just putting it out there.
Mike, what are the issues if we didn't approve this tonight and approved it in a month or 2 months? Just asking.
You've got a little bit of time, but I wouldn't wait too long until you start making payments for hard costs. I mean, now remember, the contractor wants to start on the 16th or the 18th.
Yeah. I'd go ahead and approve it. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution establishing the procedures relating to compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code in the amount of $800,000, not to exceed, is that what?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mike. TJ?
Item 1A, we have a subdivision. The Cross Lake Park and Library Commission met on April 27th, in which they discussed the Hergy subdivision. And my commission recommends to City Council that cash in lieu of land be collected for that subdivision.
2 lots?
Correct.
So that's $3,000?
Yep, 3,000.
1,500 each.
Yep.
Okay. I move we accept the donation in lieu of land.
I second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor.
Thank you. Item 2, we have another subdivision. Again, we met on April 27th, in which we discussed the Butterfield subdivision. And once again, the Park and Library Commission recommends to City Council that cash in lieu of land be collected for that subdivision. And Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, that is 16 lots.
At $1,500 each.
That is correct.
That'll pay for that lot.
That'll help with that, yeah. I move to approve the money in lieu of land.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All in favor. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 3, we have a banner advertisement program. My goal with this is to establish a program in which we can create revenue for future court maintenance. And if you remember the tennis courts, we did get a USDA grant with the resurfacing of those tennis courts. They still cost $13,500 with the grant. And when we're talking now, we had added the pickleball courts and the basketball court. We're adding that maintenance on to our future plan. What my goal is to establish this program, which we can advertise for local businesses and organizations. We can take that revenue and put it back into our court maintenance for the future. And to make this possible, you would have to authorize some sort of an account to where we can hold this money until the day we need to use it, say 5-6 years from now when we need to resurface the pickleball courts. We can use this funding rather than affecting the levy. Berainer does this, Baxter does this. Essentially, it's a 4x8 banner. I would have to eventually approve the final proof and work with the business or organization. You'll see the attached, you'll see the letter on the first page, and then on the second page, you can see the agreement form. So they have to fill out that agreement form, list where they would like it placed, whether in the pickleball courts, basketball court, or the tennis courts. There are discounts for more than 1 year of use, so on and so forth. But again, the whole goal is here to establish another source of revenue for court maintenance.
As I understand this, DJ, it would be $150, and they have to supply the banner.
That is correct. And then if they do like a 2-year plan or a
Yeah,
3-year
then
plan,
they get a discount.
we
if
would
they did
store
two
that
or
during the off-season.
Another one for 3.
Correct.
Okay.
TJ, how would you work it so that you keep the money in terms of your resurfacing account as opposed to other accounts that
That would be a
the
question
city?
for Mike. I don't know for sure what we'd be able to set up, some sort of rollover account where we can track, I don't know, not only this, but maybe, pickleball, we have a $50 annual membership. We could also include this on that balance that we can track from year to year and include that in on our capital outlay project of resurfacing.
I think it's a great idea. Plus, you get some advertising for local businesses.
If you do it the right way, it looks good. If you keep up on top of the zip ties, keep them secured, make sure that they're all uniform 4x8 and there's no vulgar language and so on and so forth, it doesn't look bad.
And you monitor it for the language that's on it, so we don't
Correct.
have something strange.
Yes.
Okay.
I would have to have the final approval.
Okay, good.
Can you set up an account for them? Good, all right.
So you get like $3,600 a year off those signs? 24 out of 150?
Depends on how many we get. You'll see
you
on the
show
back.
24 in your drawing, right?
Yeah, on the back page, so you have 1, 2,
24.
yeah, yep. So potentially you could pull in, depending on if they do a 1 year, or 2 year, or 3 year.
Well, that's something, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we do this program, can we take the pickleball fees for the year and the banner thing and put them in a assigned account for resurfacing? That shouldn't be a problem, right, Mike? We can do that? I think that should be part of the motion, that we designate it for, or assign it to resurfacing.
Make the motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the banner advertisement program and put that into a signed resurfacing account along with the pickleball fees into that account.
Fees and donations.
I
We
think
can still have the
donations, they,
donation roll through PAL,
yeah, they
but for the
generally.
memberships, we can
yeah.
certainly keep track
I
of.
think if we just go with this banner program and the pickleball fees, they come directly to the city if we assign them to resurfacing project of the courts.
Okay, I second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, TJ.
Thank you. Item D, you have a kind of a group effort between the Parks and Rec and Public Works. We've identified a piece of equipment that we really think would benefit the city, and that includes a hydroseeding system. For those who don't know, a hydroseeder combines fertilizer, seed, paper mulch, and a tackifier. You put it in the tank, and there's 2 jet systems that stir up the tank, and this system alone could handle up to 1,200 square feet. And what we have identified what this could be used for is burial plots. We can use them in the ditches, the plows in the spring, the wings. They like to chew it up when the frost leaves, so we can patch those up. Park projects, so on and so forth. There's many areas that we can use this. It's $3,600, yes, but for long-term purposes, rather than renting this out or sourcing it out, it'll really pay for itself.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Wait.
Oh.
We have discussion, don't we?
Oh, do we have discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have discussion.
All right.
Okay. I'm all for this, not to worry. The only thing is that while we're seeding and making Cross Lake a beautiful community, I'd like to know about weed spraying, because we seem to have difficulty with that. And I would like to make sure that we're going to spray weeds or pull weeds, whatever the case, but we take care of weeds, so that when we seed with this beautiful machine and we have beautiful landscaping, that we don't have weeds.
Okay, we won't
That
take
was
care
my
of that.
discussion. I don't know. Are we going to do anything with weed control?
Let's
We
finish
didn't
this
talk-
motion, and then we can talk about weeds if
Okay.
you want to, huh?
All right.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The weeds, what happened last time? You guys didn't want to breathe in the
There was
WD, whatever?
a staff member who had a license, it expired, so we had to try to figure out an alternative route. I did contact the league and some other places to see what we could spray. Water-based sprays, we could. I think it was just at the point in the season where we just said, we need to take care of it. The dandelions and the creeping Charlie and the clovers were just getting out of control. You then gave a motion to direct me to get that taken care of by a contractor. Looking forward, we can do some more research on this water-based chemicals, herbicides. I know we bought some fertilizer this spring. Spring quickly approached, so we're going to try to get it down as soon as possible. It does have a pre-emergent within the granular fertilizer. We're going to see how that works. Obviously, pre-emergent is different than post-emergent later spring. That's going to be kind of a different beast. So we'll work on trying to get it figured out if we can actually apply that water-based solution, and we'll find someone to do it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could do that
We're
internally.
not contracting, though. Are we?
I mean, I
We're
guess
not
that's up to the board,
contracting.
but-
I can't command that, but
Yeah.
that's a
I just would
question.
not
That was a question.
Get a hazmat suit or something. Get a COVID suit and put it on and go out there and spray the stuff. Should be a lot of those around.
There certainly are different classes that you can direct my staff to take or Public Works to take
Somebody
to
should
further educate us on how to handle this. I think maybe if we go down that route and further educate and go to classes of how to handle the herbicides, maybe then we'd feel more comfortable putting it down. Because there is a liability. We're dealing with
Yeah.
public spaces.
Yeah, you
and-
got to be careful.
Right.
If I were you, I'd ask Marcia how many weeds are allowed.
None. None.
Yeah, weeds are
None.
green. They look
Not
good.
the dandelions.
What success?
We'll be working on that, Marcia.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
The last item I have here is update on the summer intern position. We did get one candidate. Wasn't much of a qualified candidate of what we were looking for. I did talk to the PAL Foundation of how we can still have some sort of a summer youth coordinator come to the community center and provide opportunities for our youth. At their last meeting, a month back, and now today, I did confirm that they're willing to fund this seasonal youth coordinator position. I'm asking you as the council to approve hiring a summer part-time seasonal youth coordinator to come over to the park. I really have yet to set up the parameters. We're kind of working with a timeline here, but I'm going to try as best as I can to finalize that. But to come 2 months during the summer, three days a week, maybe 3 to 4 hours a day, to come and set up some programming, kickball or arts and crafts for the kiddos. So they've agreed to fund up to $4,000. What I've identified of what we probably need to pay this person's salary is probably $1,500 to $2,000, and then we could utilize any other funding for art supplies, kickballs, you name it. So
you're
that's-
not asking us to put anything into it other than just say.
other than just to give me approval to go out and advertise for this position, hire someone on, what we would do is come time to do time cards, we would pay this employee and then get reimbursed through the PAL Foundation.
So we would in essence get donations from PAL to cover the cost.
Correct. And kind of the basis here, we used to have the summer reading program where we would have vendors come in and teach the kids about birds and show different things from the zoo. It might be a little late this year, but that's what I kind of want to encompass in on this program is we can get these vendors to come in along with, they have days where they just do simple recreational activities or arts in the park or whatever, you know. The options are
Mike,
endless, but just this is a starting point.
Okay. Mike, do you see any issues with this?
No.
Thank you. I'm for it.
Make a motion.
I move we allow them to hire this position and this person and bring him on board.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
Is this taking care of that intern position? I thought we had already approved that.
Yeah, we couldn't find anyone. The major issue there was lodging. There was just nobody around that, there's no housing available for them to come and spend a couple months here. So this is kind of our solution to not finding someone for that internship.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I just have one last thing. Thank you for that last motion, but I just have an update on the playground. I got word from our playground supplier. We were working with a May 16th start date. That got pushed back to May 31st. I was reassured that we will be done and ready for the grand opening of the obstacle course, which is set to be on May 12th.
June 12th.
Excuse me, June 12th. And we are currently prepping the site. We got some of the older pieces of equipment removed. A little update for you all. I don't know if you saw that in the special council meeting. Emily, 50 Lakes had, excuse me. They backed out of receiving that equipment. It just was taking them too much time and too much energy. So we just ended up taking that out. We are prepping the site later this week for the obstacle course. We have some fill to move in, which we are moving from within our site over to that place where the obstacle course will be put up. But stay tuned. I will be putting updates on the city website, kind of what we're doing with the road projects and the sewer projects, so everyone knows what's going on. I'm working on some sign-up sheets for the volunteer build, so everyone knows kind of what's going on and they can sign up and contact me if they want to help us out put that playground up.
Good.
Thank you.
Have you confiscated the Public Works Bobcat down there for a while?
We have. Yes.
It's kind of nice to see it down there.
Yeah, we're using it quite a bit, so thank you for that.
Thank you,
you.
TJ.
Nice work.
Public Works. Seth, you should come up and give it a wing. Do you know what you're doing?
Good answer.
Well, we'll fire questions at him, but I'll get it started on what we talked about, so.
Seth Watermo, Public Works. How can I help you?
Okay.
Actually, Phil, this was yours.
Take item 2A on the agenda,
Yeah, I
please.
was looking on
Take
my
item
phone
2A.
here. We ran out of agendas, so I have it on my phone here.
So I'll let you know, I can talk you through that. So at the last Public Works meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion on, where the sewer ends and what are the city's plans going either down 16 or north up on 66. So what the commission was recommending is that we extend, we asked the council to consider extending sanitary sewer to the west side of CASA 66 across from the car wash for a future, when the Bourbon Room came up, because they would be the first one on that extension. And the consideration there was, if you're going to if they have the road torn up to that level, you might as well run the pipe underneath the road for about a little more than $10,000 was kind of a ballpark estimate to put a service connection on the other side of the road.
So you would run that in the ditch, though, not just put it in the road?
Beyond the road.
It would be in the road bed, the tank? It'd be off on the shoulder? Yeah, on the shoulder. And that's not a quote that's just going to guess at what that would cost?
Take it away, Phil.
One, Loveland's was 20 grand and this one is 10?
It's taking the contractor's bid prices and applying them.
Okay.
Realize that a contractor might ask for a little bit more with mobbing or freight charge, but that's about it.
How is the pipe going to terminate when it gets to the end of the line now? Is it just going to be a pipe in the ground stopped, or is it going to stop in a?
Right now, it stops at a manhole.
In a manhole.
Right. And
You
we'd have
want to take a right
and so we
and
would
put
have
in
a hole
another.
put in it and take it to the east, and then it'd stop at a manhole.
And that would just
allow-
save us from digging up the road if we
Correct.
had to put an extension on.
Future connection would only have the pipe cost, not replacing the county road.
I would say that'd be a good idea to do.
I think the county would like that.
I agree.
So if we did that, then the county would have to let us run that sewer line in the ditch. Which
We make them aware of it, yeah, in the future.
previously, they did not really want to do that, though.
And they don't necessarily have to in the future either.
So that's a little bit of a risk element we're taking there.
Yeah.
But I still think it'd be a good idea to have a spot. Okay.
Has anybody checked with the county on this one before we spend
Well,
money?
Moonlight Bay Restaurant tried to do it one time, and the county said no. They said the city could overrule it and take the liability on. So that's what I'm basing that on.
I know.
Yeah.
But ask them again, if we do it again, what are they going to tell us?
Are you asking if we can add 60 feet of pipe to go
No,
across the
I'm
road?
asking if we did this and then we came to connect to it, what's the county going to say
Right.
to us?
No one's asked if we can run it down
That's
there
what I'm
right away.
asking. Can we, before we agree,
Yeah.
do something, can
Could
we
you-
get an
we can do
opinion
that.
from
Could we
them?
make a motion to approve based on a satisfactory
Okay,
response of the county?
Okay. You want us to ask the county if sometime in the future, if the Bourbon Room decides they want to hook in, that it's okay to run that in the county's right of way?
Yeah.
Can ask that.
But you can ask it of this commission, but the next commission, after an election, can say no.
Get it in writing.
We can ask.
Yeah.
Or
I think-
they could, if we just left the tank in the road, they could bore into that tank too, right? I mean, they could do it.
I've heard it's been done.
This makes it easier to do that, yeah.
They could also obtain their own easement along the properties and then just come into it instead of running in the roads. There's options. This was Ted's last meeting we had with him before he left. He said, I'd like you guys to consider, we should think about the Bourbon Room and how they can access in the future.
We have time to ask the county because they're going to get.
We
to this.
do, we should be mindful that there are supply chain issues and we would want to get the contractors noticed if they need to get stuff here, but I think we have time.
You want to make a motion for that?
Yeah, before we go ahead with these expenditures, let's check with the county. Are we just talking Bourbon Room?
Well, just one tank, just for that north loop.
It's Bourbon Room, not Loveland.
Right. It's not going down 16.
Check with the county, find out if they'd approve this down the road.
But should we approve it based on?
I'd wait. I would wait until he gets back to
But then
us.
it goes back to the supply chain in a month down the road.
Well, it all depends on, you're going to have a special meeting?
Okay. Let us know.
Don't encourage him, Dave.
I know.
Eric? I hope it's not real obvious that I want to get out of here, is it?
It's gonna be a bit. I got a few things.
Oh, come on.
So first, and everything that I'm gonna talk to you about is gonna be regarding the sewer project and the safety of the detour route, specifically the local detour. And the first thing is, what we brought up, Mayor, was at the Public Safety Committee meeting regarding speed signs, the portable speed signs that we have. It's about $6,000 for 2 more of those.
6 for 2, 3,000
For 2,
each.
yep, 3,000 each. And those are the portable ones like you see down on 66 here at Outlet Recreation, and then further south on County Road 3 at Riverwood Trail, right around there. So those are portable, we can move them throughout the city. The 2 permanent ones we have are over at the park on Daggett Pine Road. So we can't move those. 8-week delivery on that, I don't know that that's really a good option right now.
For any of them? 8 weeks?
8 weeks, yep.
Well, that's
So,
all.
It'll be over.
they build them as they're ordered.
But
so-
you've got 2 available in the shop
I've got 2
right
that I
now?
can move around, and if we need to, we can move them over on West Shore Drive. And like we talked about, if we can get the speed limit signs to a height where, the speed limit radar sign isn't down here, it's up higher. We can work with that and put them on West Shore Drive or back here if need be. So that is my suggestion on that. I'd love to have 2 more signs, but I just don't see it feasible right now. And I don't have any monies for it in the budget.
Well, if it takes 8 weeks, the project's going to be over.
Right.
So why would we do that?
Yep. Yep, I agree. Secondly, and I mean, it's up to you, I don't.
No, we'll let it go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another item that came up is speed humps. And. Does it? You mean it's not done yet? Anyway, so I was looking at those, not speed bumps, speed humps. So I looked at it specifically through here around Old Log Landing, Daggett Bay Road, Miller Road. And concern that I'm gonna really have about that area is gonna be pedestrians. And you've got 2 lanes there and there's no, you got 2 cars coming at each other and you've got a pedestrian or a bicyclist there's really no room. And if the amount of people that I think are gonna be moving through there, I've got a real safety concern. The issue with these, they're not cheap. So I just priced out 8 of them that were 10 feet long. And it's, well, with shipping, it comes to about $9,800. These can be used, I mean, we can use these later on down the road. We did talk about putting speed bumps down at Andy's parking lot. We can move them down there when the project's done. We talked about putting them over in TJ's parking lot at the community center. So this is something that we can use later down the road. But I don't know if we can put it onto the sewer costs or.
Would it be illegal for us just to get some 2x10s and put them in the road and paint them
Yes.
yellow?
Very much so. And it's about as expensive, you know that right now.
It's not $1,000 each.
But Phil, your sign company, can they come up with something? Speed humps, not bumps. I'm not a fan of speed bumps at all.
We don't have anything on the surface. We have signs up that are flashing that say speed limit 20 in an orange construction sign. But that's not going to stop someone from going.
Oh, no,
faster.
that's not going to phase them at all.
What's the delivery on this?
2 weeks.
That's better than.
Right. Yeah, it's just, the people are gonna be moving through there. We take out the bike path, the walking path. Pedestrians are gonna move through there. I know I've spoken with someone whose child is gonna be biking through there to get to work. I mean, it's a concern.
Do we have a lot of stop signs in that route?
No.
Do we need to add some in that route?
They're T intersections, so.
So what? Temporary.
Yeah, I mean, at the T, there's a stop sign, but the through road, no. Part of that T intersection, so.
We don't want to stop traffic either, but we want to slow it down.
Right.
And that's why you figure 8 would be good? 8 would give you pretty good coverage?
8 should be able to give us pretty good coverage. I don't know how wide the road is there, if it's 22 feet or whatever it is, but 10 foot, I mean, if we've got 20 feet going across, and I think I'd stagger them, so you don't have the person driving around trying to be cute. But just kind of my thought, I don't know what else to do. I mean, I can put up speed signs and, say it's 20 miles an hour, but, you still have 20 miles an hour is still fast when you're.
What's the $80 liftgate fee? Is that a delivery or
That's
something?
delivery if they have to have a forklift. I don't know how heavy these things are. I mean, like I said, the shipping is almost $800, so they got to be fairly heavy. And we could probably get that taken off if we have them taken out, delivered down to Public Works, and the guys down there can maybe take them off with the fork.
I think it'd be a good idea, especially Miller Road has got a long section that's just straight.
You sure we can't use 2x10s?
Like I said, they're probably maybe 3/4 of the price.
No.
Yeah, number 1 or number 2 pine, what are we gonna use?
Go over to the sawmill, get the rough saw, full dimension.
What do they nail these into the asphalt?
They are screwed in, so there's an anchor bolt, and then they're bolted in in the pavement.
I guess they'll last a while. It's $10,000 for 8 of them.
I don't know of another option, another way. We can sign the crap out of the whole thing, and I don't think that's gonna get people to,
Get
slow
your
down.
guys to
Speed signs isn't going to work. Stop signs, actually, if they're inappropriately put in, they actually create a hazard.
Right.
They have more accidents than if they're not there.
One other thing I did forget about this, we would put signs up warning you that a speed hump was coming up, and there, if you do 8 signs, it's probably about another $400, not including the post.
So now we're well over 10.
Right. I didn't have that in here. I thought about
Well,
that
no,
afterwards.
that's fine.
I don't know.
And you have to plan now if you're going to do it, because if you wait 2 weeks, you're too late, because now you're a month into it.
Aaron, this is your area. What do you think? Is juice worth the squeeze for what we've got
I think
happening?
speed humps are fine. I don't have a problem with them. The speed bumps, which are higher, I detest them.
I can just see people sailing through here. I mean, I've done the route and it's
Yeah,
easy.
I don't have a problem with them. It's the money, and we can screw them down, we can use them later.
Right. There is a definite use for them
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah. So it would not be money wasted, but do we have funds that we can, I hate to make a motion and then find out there's no funds.
We'll have to include them as part of the project cost, just like we would a sign.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I make a motion, we purchase them.
Along with signs, what he's,
Yeah.
10,500?
The speed humps
that?
and the signs, both.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, lastly, sorry, believe me, I wanted to be out of here too. So, I want to put that back up real quick. So we've got the intersection out here, 66 and Daggett Bay Road. We've got some real issues as far as when people start parking there.
No parking.
I want to put up no parking signs all the way down to Norway Trail and the entrance to City Hall. No parking on either side.
I don't disagree with you. They're gonna get a little ticked about it, but they can use the back parking lot.
Right. A
That's
couple
what
of
they're
my
supposed to do.
officers have made complaints about it, that they've turned into Daggett Bay Road, and there are people parked on the south side of the road, and they've had to come around them, not seeing an oncoming car. There's nowhere for anyone to go. So whether it's temporary or permanent, I think actually permanent's probably better.
Is that painted curb then too, what you do, or?
Nope,
just
there's no
few
curb there,
si-
so we
little
just
bit
have
of
to do
signage?
signs. Yep.
Could you pull
Probably
this?
3 signs on either side.
Cool.
Well, I agree though, that's, the parking on the street like that is. I make a motion, no parking signs.
I second it.
Okay, any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Thank you,
carries.
sorry about taking so long.
Yep. Thank you, Eric. Okay, what's next? Public forum. Anybody gather anything? Oh, come on up, Liz. Action may or may not be taken. Name and
Really
address, you know
fast.
the drill.
Liz Lesky, 36853 Bonnie Lakes Lane. Just in regard to the radar signs that you were talking about, is there any neighboring community that we could borrow from just for the duration of the project? Have you maybe pursued that? So just a thought to see if somebody else could be
I
a good
have
neighbor.
looked into that,
Okay.
and I know Pequot had some, but I don't think they have the batteries right now, so they're about $800. But the other ones that I know of are permanent signs. I have the radar trailer too that I can put out at different places, so.
Just a thought.
Yep, thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Any new business?
I have some.
Oh, you had some, Kate?
They're just questions real fast. Just wondering if we will get an update from the VRBO committee that was established, and we were going to get monthly reports, and I have not seen anything. I don't know if you've had a meeting? Was it staff?
We've just had some general discussions, and we're just trying to figure out what to do or what the best option is. One of the
Okay.
things we had looked at is, are we at the point where we think about a permanent type position for a fire chief? And one of the things that we realize is with the VRBO committee is, what problem are we trying to solve? Are we just trying to regulate them? And what are we regulating? And how much are you willing to spend to do that?
I thought it was regulating them so that we wouldn't have citizens so upset. So I guess,
I did ask Chief Lee how many complaints he's had in the past few months, and how many have you had?
As of yesterday, I think there's 2.
Okay, so 2 in 4 months.
I'll tell you what we've done so far, which really isn't much at all. The county's done a little bit, but I've heard from some people who had a lot of complaints before who say that things are really quieting down. So, if we could just keep a little pressure on them that they're not going to get away with whatever, I think that'll carry a lot. I think the VRB owners are a little threatened by whatever talk we're doing, so they're paying a little closer attention too, which is good. That's what we want them to do.
then we established another committee, the Public Access Committee, and I don't think we've ever gotten anything from them. Is that happening
Did you have
still?
something to do with that, TJ? Yeah. Right away?
The right-of-ways, I'm sorry.
They approve.
Right-of-ways, public access, whatever you want to call them.
The right-of-way vacation application process? Is that what you're talking about, or
I thought I
land
thought there was a
committee.
committee that was going to go through all the accesses to the lake and identify whether,
Our first step was to come up with a process of how to handle these right-of-way vacation applications, in which we have set, and you guys did approve. We have had our first DRT, and they will be coming back to the commission next month, Shar?
They submitted their application today.
So it'll be
was
next
the deadline.
month, it'll go to the commissions.
and that's for vacating a
Yes.
public access.
Correct.
And that will come to planning and zoning and then us?
No.
Parks, Public Works.
Oh, parks.
And
Public
then
Works, okay.
once-
Will come to the council in August.
Yes,
Okay, all right. So there is something happening there.
correct.
The other thing is, I was wondering about the joint maintenance facility. Discussions with the county, anything happening?
The county's not through with their review, and as soon as they are, they'll be contacting us. And that is on our radar to talk with them on what their plans are.
Because the lease is up like April 2023, right?
That's February.
Or February?
Yep.
Any indication at all, Mike? I mean, are they?
Well, we're fixing the pylons in the wash bay. I don't see them, they go through the process every year, is it better to stay or not stay or whatever that is. I don't believe they have any intention of leaving.
Yeah.
So do we have a solution then if they're not leaving and they're saying they don't have enough room?
Well, it'll be next year probably. They'll come back with a plan and needs study.
I think so you think they're going to renew their lease?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But they haven't come out and said that. That was part of, what we've assigned Public Works to come up with a complete plan for, the cement work, for finishing the storage space at the end of the oxidation ditches. So that'll alleviate some of our storage needs. And we're moving a garage down to Parks this summer.
And due to the road closures and when the road restrictions are being lifted, sounds like the 16th, we are planning on waiting until the first phase is complete to move that building. We're going to do some site preps and get the foundation poured, the slab poured, but the building won't be moved until after phase 1.
One more thing. Wondered if the city council wanted to consider eliminating the personnel committee since we don't use it. And I'm not quite understanding, there was no discussion on the Park and Rec employee interviews, and personnel committee wasn't involved in it. So just wondering if we really need a personnel committee. I think it should go on the agenda next month and discuss it.
Next month, talk about it?
Well, next month, because no one knew I was going to bring it up. Actually, it was today that I was sitting there trying to figure out what I wanted to bring up. That's it.
So remember to put it on the agenda next month.
Yes, please. Or do you want a motion for that? Okay,
Got it?
I'm done.
Okay, any old business? Any public attorney or anything?
Just looking for a motion to go into close to talk about, we still haven't finished negotiating the last stormwater pond.
Okay, folks, we got to go into closed for whatever that is.
Are you going to make a motion to go in? Thank you.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting for discussion of land acquisition.
Acquisition of the last stormwater pond for 66.
Okay,
Second.
project.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Thank you for coming.